Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Debate Hub. I am Cheshire Master Debater, and I am here with Seamus today. Seamus, how are you?
Doing all right.
All
Doing all
right.
right.
You're in America, so you're having a bit of a trip. Oh, I can hear
That's on
me.
my end.
Is it? I think it was my end too. We both had it playing. That's hilarious. You good?
There we go.
Oh, hooray!
Technology.
Everything computer.
Yeah.
How are you? How
Well,
you
it only
doing?
took us three times to make it happen. We still had to screw it up somehow,
Oh
right?
my god,
So
there's so much just stuff going on in the background. I'm glad you finally made it. I think this is actually your first time on this channel. Like I know we've done debate hubs before, but that was when before it
yeah,
had launched here, right? I think you were on the
yeah. I did.
microbrew with Landon.
Yeah, the microbrew. I was gonna say I thought it was in a tavern or a microbrew or something at one point. I think that was the last thing
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm happy to have you back and here for the first time.
I did. Right.
So why don't you tell the good people a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
So, myself and Barry Purcell host a show called The Jib. So basically, we spend a lot of time talking FBI, CIA, and other related such shenanigans. Try to point out the or break down the whitewashed history of some of the nonsense that you've been taught in schools about them, or you haven't been taught in schools about them. Sometimes we talk about crazy stuff like the time that you were on the show. Whenever you got to hear about how Philadelphia bombed a house in middle of downtown Philadelphia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like and not even like just like plane like a helicopter bombed like not
yeah,
even like oh little explode no like dropped like
yeah.
intentionally like just carpet bombed this whole area. They didn't just destroy the one little spot, they blew up everything.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, absolutely. I'm over on that episode. It was really fun to record. But they didn't tell me what the episode was about because last time I went over and they told me what it was about, they got
Yes.
mad at me.
No, I thought it was hilarious because you just out buried Barry. So
That's why he was looking for revenge that yesterday with
oh
Chekhov's
jeez.
gun.
Yeah.
It was really good.
He's
Yesterday's show was fantastic.
he's vindictive. And he's in the chat. Hi Barry.
Hi Barry. Well, today we are talking about centrism and sort of like the issues of modern centrism, not necessarily like the concept. I think we would both
Sure.
agree that the concepts of centrism are fine in the traditional sense. But I'll read them off of the Wikipedia real quick just so people know what the hell we're talking about. So, centrism is the range of political ideologies that exist between left wing politics and right wing politics on the left right political spectrum. It's associated with modern politics, including people who strongly support, sorry, moderate politics, including people who strongly support moderate policies and people who are not strongly aligned with left or right wing policies. Centrism is commonly associated with liberalism, radical centrism, and agrarianism. Those who identify as centrists support gradual political change, often through a welfare state with moderate redistributive policies. And so I think that's where you're going to find a lot of centrists don't currently, at least not online, exist anymore too
No.
much.
No. I think, you know, the problem with that definition, and then not the definition itself is wrong. It just doesn't really apply to everything we consider what's centrist now, right? I mean, I would say broadly speaking, people would consider Biden and people like him and that administration to be a centrist, you
Yeah.
know, uh, party. But in a lot of ways, the way the Overton window has shifted, they're right wing. They're very much right wing. So I mean, the center is kind of right. Uh, Pardon the pun, but you know what I mean. It's just there is no left wing party right now.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Although fascism. That's I mean,
We
the
have
austerity really kicks in the ass.
yeah, we have an election coming up in Canada right now, and I think one of the things that I've noticed is people seem to think that Mark Carney is more centrist than Trudeau was, and he's currently leading the Liberal Party. And the Liberal Party of Canada is traditionally center left, like they're supposed to be closer to the center. They're supposed to be like very pragmatic. But I think although that might be true, I think what he's doing is very much a lot of progressive things very, very, very quickly. And he's running on that. These things need to happen
Yeah.
quickly due to, like, gestures vaguely and everything. So it's interesting to see this when I think centrism is done correctly, it still needs to be moving. And the centrism that I see, particularly online, or like these self-proclaimed centrists, tend to not want any movement. They're just like, no, 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 things just need to stay the way they are. And like, this side has some good ideas, that side has some good ideas, and everybody is just extreme all the time. And it's like, uh, I guess dealing with Nazis is pretty extreme. Usually, it kind of has to be in some regards.
Yeah. I mean, here, the problem is of how corrupt both parties have become. They're basically giant supporters of capitalism, right?
Hmm.
There's no accountability or a hold to any sort of their base. I mean,
Yeah,
sure, Trump has his base, but just like he gives them the fodder, right?
yeah,
But what he's actually in tune with is same thing that the Democrats are stuck to, which is the donor class. Ever since Citizen United, the Overton window again has shifted so far to the right that they're all just corporate lackeys, and that's all it's really become. And as far as the Democrat Party, I mean, really, I used to think Clinton was to blame, and yes, he has a lot to answer for. But really, it wasn't until I think David Sirota did this thing on the Powell documents and how much the Carter administration started the Big Tent policy, right? And that Big
hmm,
Tent policy was so inclusive, it started bringing in more people that would be, viewed more as a right wing or centrist, right? Because, you know, nobody would really accuse Carter of being too much of a leftist.
hmm.
I mean, he would definitely appear left to many of the people now. I mean, hell, some of Reagan's policies are left of fucking Biden. You know what I mean? So it's just
Yeah.
this giant shift that has just happened over the time. It's
It's
really
almost
just
like the
shifted all
left
these
right
things.
spectrum doesn't even exist in
No,
America right now. Like it still exists in
no,
other places. You can see it with like Starmer in the UK, you can see it with Macron in France, you can see it between Polyev and Carney, but the main difference is like if you look at Canadian politics right now, again, only because I live in Canada and also there's an election right now, it's very stark. It's very obvious right now. The
yeah,
the Conservative Party has been almost co-opted by this right-wing extremist ideology, and that
that sounds familiar.
right, and that happened because
Yeah,
there was a coalition because they needed to get powerful, like because the more center reasonable conservatives, the people that are not quite so regressive but want things to happen a little bit slower and want to be like, well, we want to be careful about money and we want to be careful about this, the cautious people, which is okay to be cautious, that's fine. They sold out their their ideologies for power to get into power, but then when you sell your soul to the devil takes over, right? So
oh
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't have any power anymore. You just think you have the illusion that your party is winning something. Whereas in when it comes to like the left leaning policies, that people are absolutely loving um Carney because he's not capitulating to any of this right wing ideology, which unfortunately you didn't see happen in America when
Oh
like
yeah,
when Hillary Clinton was running and when uh Kamala Harris
Biden.
was running, yeah,
Yeah.
and Biden, yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, look at how they responded to the loss, right?
mm-hmm,
Instead of going and saying, "Oh, it was really a bad idea to, stay double down on what was going on in Gaza. Maybe we should have taken a more humanitarian approach to the border." No, instead it was, "Well, we were too woke. We were doing, we were worried about the trans folks too much, and maybe we should." Throw those people under the bus. And
it's the
oh,
exact
we were
opposite.
not hard enough. Yeah, we were not hard enough on the border. It was all that influence and all that pushback that got us to it. It's like that was what was being run on the CNN, MSNBC
Yeah,
propaganda bullshit, which was just total gaslighting. That shit didn't happen.
Right.
That's not what you guys are running on, you know. And I think it's always important whenever people ever bring up Kamala Harris that you need to bring up or Biden. The, you have to link them together. I'm sorry, she had a chance to walk away from him, separate herself from him, and instead she just doubled down. She was stuck to him, so she should be judged going forward as such. I'm sorry, you can't have it both ways, and that's what they're already trying to start that now with this like apologetic tour of she was hamstrung. You know what? No bullshit. If she was running for fucking president, then she needed to run for fucking president.
Yeah.
Don't keep telling us that this is the most important election in your lifetime and, do that bullshit. It was the worst fucking campaign I've ever seen anybody run.
It
I
was
mean,
bad.
seriously, terrible,
Yeah.
absolutely terrible.
I
And then
remember
for them to come
expecting
back like,
more, and then just there was
yeah,
nothing.
yeah. I mean, it was so little. Honestly, even if she gave, you know, pretended to give a shit about Gaza, think about how many people would have come out.
Oh
Think about
yeah.
how many people would have come out.
Yep.
I mean, that's everything that they really lost on. It was like the final vote we're looking at, I think, what 78 to 75 million, but then about 90 million didn't vote.
Yeah, and it's
So
super
there you
odd to
go.
me. Maybe this is just a me thing, but I think it's super duper odd that you have like this centrist group who thinks that like capitulating to Netanyahu is a
Yeah,
centrist position and not an extreme position. To me, that
right.
sounds extreme. I that doesn't click with me. I don't understand how that what that thought process is that puts that in that category. Is it just because
Yeah,
like America's been with and around Israel for a really, really long time? Because if that's the
too
case,
long.
then what about like all of the other agreements that America is throwing under the bus right now? It doesn't make any sense. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
not to sound conspiracy theorist, but I mean, the APAC effect is a real thing. I mean, how many people in Congress and are being funded directly by APAC. And you
Right.
definitely look at how they vote. Look at Al Green. Al Green spoke out against what was going on in Gaza. He actually stood up like all the other fucking Democrats and actually shouted at Trump. And he gets censured by 10 of his own people, and 9 of them were APAC
Yeah.
funded Democrats.
That was that.
You
There's
know?
that. Then you have like Booker,
Oh,
right?
jeez. Yeah.
And he does this thing, and it's monumental, and it is just marred in other issues where it's like, I really want to be happy for the guy, and I really want to applaud him, but this is coming with so much. What's the word? It's coming with so much extra baggage, like
Oh, yeah.
where with
And he's
like
a piece of shit.
particularly particularly
Yeah.
particularly Gaza,
But I mean,
right?
what happened? He that so-called filibusters, and there's an argument whether or not it really was. Whatever. He does that speech, and then literally they announce, recognize somebody else. They go ahead and vote, and there's no resistance.
Whoops.
It's all shenanigans.
My
Hey, we
bad.
won orange.
Yeah, woohoo. My bad.
Yeah.
Wrong button.
So it was all for naught, which is what the Democrats do. And then I guess Schumer was appalled that they bypassed the parliamentarian to pass some stuff. And it's like, dude,
Hmm.
you guys you scream about fascism, but you don't know how to combat it. You don't know how to you're always worried about decorum and like that's that whole Al Green thing was how dare he speak out? That's us. We shouldn't be doing that. Oh, clutching
It's
the
so
pearls and
weird. It's
you can't
almost
be
like
doing
they're
that.
afraid of being called like, oh yeah, but now we just look the same as the
Yeah,
Republicans, and it's like, yeah, but what the Republicans doing is working. So if it's working, maybe you should try it. Like maybe still follow the rules, maybe still follow the Constitution, but like doing something might be a good idea.
yeah.
Something.
They're not doing anything at all. And you look at what Trump and Musk especially are doing. They're acting as if they are not going to be held accountable for. They're not
Hmm.
going to be paid any consequences because they know they're going to get away with it all.
And they've still haven't faced any consequences yet.
No,
Like the judge is still like hemming and hawing about holding them in contempt, and it's like I don't understand how is a blatant violation of the U.S. Constitution
yeah,
being like so tentative that there is no movement on it. I do not understand how this is a centrist position. Like it doesn't make any
right,
sense to me. Like that can't be said. That's extreme, right? Like it's
yeah,
extreme to violate the Constitution especially as the sitting president and the Security Council.
Yeah.
It's sending signal text messages to
Yeah. Yeah.
Moscow. Like, I don't. How are they? You can't. There's no centrism here. There's no like. Oh well, we'll go through the court system. It's like, yeah, do that, but you can't pretend that these sides are like. There's a little bit of good here. There's a little bit of bad here. Like, it's a timing thing for me, I guess, where
Yeah.
it's like, listen, maybe we can look back and say like, hey, this one thing that Trump did is a good thing, and like, okay, we'll choose to keep that thing as we're just sweeping the rest of it off a cliff somewhere
Right.
and pretending like this never happened. And I'm a
Yeah.
little bit
It's
worried that's what's going to happen, because that's what happened in 2016. In 2016, they
oh
were just like, we're just
right.
going to brush all this aside and pretend this wasn't a problem. But it's like, okay, but you need to fix you need to fix it.
Yeah. It's like because they just want to go back to brunch. That's all they ever care about. You know what I mean? That's all liberals want to do. They just want to get back to normal and the status quo, which is a very centrist thing to do.
I have heard a couple of the Democrats being like, no, 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 we can't go back to the way things were, because the way things were is what caused this. And I'd say that's probably I think that's the centrist view, because like it is not extreme. It's not making any massive changes. It's talking about a slow change for like the next election. That's more centrist to me. Like, the left would be like, hang this man.
Yeah.
Especially if you wanted to be like an extreme left. An extreme left would be calling for like the death penalty.
Well, that's the history right there. That's the biggest downfall of American history is we don't hold the powerful accountable. You know what I mean?
mm,
All the way back to the Civil War, post Civil War, what did we do? We signed a treaty and we let Jefferson Davis and Robert E. Lee go back to their lives.
mm.
Fuck that. We should hang both of them. And that would have been it. You know?
There's something like one of the more modern egregious ones, in my opinion, and please correct me if I'm
Mhm.
wrong, would be George W. Bush Jr.
Yes, absolutely. That was what I was
Like,
going to say next.
I do
Yeah.
not understand how that man didn't end up in like prison or like working at McDonald's. Like, I don't understand, like, how is he still even bringing Bill Clinton
But,
on and
but
like being
he
like,
had
yeah,
shoes
cool, Bill
thrown at him,
Clinton.
Chesh. Come on. Poor guy had some shoes thrown at him.
We had a prime
What
minister
more do
who
you want?
he had I think it was a pie thrown at him, and then there's a picture of him choking a guy out. And,
That's awesome.
that's Jean Chrétien. He was the leader of the Liberal Party like pre-Harper days. That dude,
Okay.
he came out. He's been retired. He's old as fuck. He came out to when Trump started talking about like annexation. He came out and he does one of those things where he has like an injury on the side of his face, and he talks French. Oh, I am French because his name is Jean Chrétien. And so he comes out and he's like, I am Jean Chrétien, and I mean, America can say whatever they want. And he's basically like, I mean, Donald Trump can say whatever he wants, but we're just gonna turn the power off. And when he tries to go to
Yeah.
his Trump
Okay.
penthouse, he's gonna have to walk up all his stairs with a candle. And I was just like, this man is old as this guy's gotta be like in his 90s. And he comes out on stage at like one of the things, and he's like,
Uh,
hey, from one just old man to another old man, stop. So like, I don't know. It's odd to me when like the centrist position classically ought to
sure.
be slow movement but still movement. But in America, it seems the current centrist position is stick to the status quo and change as little as possible, and nothing at all if able, which is a really big problem if the right and the right extremists are slowly moving things. Because if they're succeeding in moving those things, then that centrist point is being shifted and shifted and shifted and shifted and shifted until
Well,
it's now just
the only
right
time
wing.
they put the brakes on is when it's a left wing position. You know,
Right.
the only time that they accelerate anything is to the right. We came out of mass protests of BLM, the
Mhm.
fund of police, and what does Biden do?
The 1%, yeah.
Gives more money than any other sitting president to police. He
Mm-hmm.
gives them more powers and more toys, opens up more grant funding for them to have more military weapons. You know, you just can't do that. I mean, what are you doing? And then you're turning over all these things. I mean, look at all the things that they did, all the powers that they literally were passing to give to the president and the administrative coming in and knowing that possibly a fascist was going to be in power,
Yeah.
and that's what happened.
Yeah, knowing
It's
what's gonna, like, having any forethought at all
yeah,
should have been cutting some powers at the knees, and they just didn't. Now, do you think that was
right.
because of arrogance? Like, they were like, there's no way
In
he's gonna
part,
win, which
in
was
part,
literally the thing that got him elected the first time. Oh, Trump's
yeah,
running for president? That's ridiculous. There's no way he's gonna win. Trump wins.
yeah. But I think didn't they have like internal polling that like in July or right? I think it was after the DNC that they pretty much determined that they weren't going to win.
Mm,
And that's what a
mhm.
lot of the critics were like, well, then why are you still taking funding? I mean, she took in more donations than anybody before. And there's a lot of speculation about, the
Mhm.
slush funds and stuff that were going. They spent how much money on the giant ball thing? What is that? The big
Yeah.
the dome chrome
Yeah.
thing? And, I mean, come on.
I'm
It's,
curious
it's
about
gross, is what it is.
I'm curious about recounts, right? So like Trump was like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
the election was stolen. I want recounts. I want recounts." And there were a lot of people, and there seemed to be a lot of fuckery in the 2016 election and
Yeah.
the 2024 election. But no Democrats were really calling for any check and balance on this, which I
Look,
find
they never followed
odd.
through.
Yeah,
They never
right.
followed through. Look, I mean, Gore and Bush.
Mhm.
We,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
they stopped the count and they didn't object. Right? They just let it go. There's a journalist named Greg Palast, and I haven't gone down the rabbit hole of what he's all putting out there, but he is adamant that this election was stolen and that Elon played a big role in it. I don't know. Like again, I haven't gone down that road. I do know I did
It's
read
a
a little
rabbit
bit of
hole.
what he put out. Yeah, recently that basically he's predicting how that the 2028 election just means nothing at this point because he's already getting a hold of the voter rolls and he'll be able to manipulate and do what he wants.
I've
I don't
heard
know if that's
a
true or not, but I mean, Greg Palast isn't like one of those tinfoil or even a Rachel Maddow kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just not. You know what I mean? He's not
Yeah,
even trying to sky.
I think
So.
there's like a degree of quality to some conspiracy theory. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that there's like if you're doing conspiracy theories and you're doing them right, then what you're doing is you're not making sweeping statements like, "Oh, they're lizard people." No, no, no. You're just saying, "Hey, I noticed this thing and I think it's kind of weird. Did anybody else notice this thing that I think is kind
Right.
of weird?" And sometimes those things are coincidences and sometimes like, "No, no, no, wait, hold on a minute. He's got a point."
Yeah,
I
I
don't
feel like that
know.
the Democratic Party is long abandoned us. Okay, I mean,
Oh
I
yeah,
hate to
yeah.
break to you folks. They're not going to save you. Okay, they're dead. They're the Walking Dead right now. They're just a bunch of zombies.
Hmm.
They really are. I mean, how anybody can support either party? I mean, really, but I mean, the Democrats have shown that they're just a husk.
I'm
So
really hoping that some new party that is basically like a quote unquote new Democrat styled party that is actually left leaning comes out of the ashes of the Democrats. And like you'll still probably end up with your classic Democrats existing, but this is like the way Canada works. We have
yeah,
our conservative party, if we're lucky, this is what I want to happen. The coalition that the conservative party is put together that basically got co-opted. So the conservative party is basically co-opted by right-wing extremists right now. And they're pissed. Like they're not happy about it. They're infighting. They've been infighting. And
well, that's
so
good at least.
that's good
Yeah,
because that means that there's fractures and hopefully that means that they will fracture back into two parties again. Because if they fracture back into two parties again, you're gonna have the extremists back where they fucking belong in the corner with a dunce cap on. Like, get back
yeah.
over there. Shut up. You're in timeout.
Do you guys have ranked choice voting?
No, there was a push for that. There was a push for
Okay.
that, and Trudeau ran on it, but he wasn't able to get it. There was like some he made a couple attempts, but he wasn't able to get it through. It wasn't popular enough. So how hard he tried is like in question, and like what.
Yeah.
But he made like a council for it and did the stuff, but he didn't get it through. And then like COVID happened, and so there's like you could kind of excuse it, and then also kind of maybe be like, but you could have tried again. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
also he was like there was like a big massive like slander push on him after COVID, so it was like a clusterfuck. So I don't know. I don't know if we'll see it changed by the next federal roll around. We'll see. but not yet. We're looking at
Yeah,
reforms, but I don't know if they'll happen. It maybe my
I
lifetime.
wish that would happen here, but I don't. I'm optimistic that I mean, there's not even an effort. I mean, the
Mm.
Democrats do everything they can to make sure there isn't a third party. You
If
know,
you think, I'm curious,
yeah.
Obama.
Hmm.
To me, Obama, in the classical sense, seems like a center, maybe slightly left of center. Maybe slightly
I
left of. But if you look at the policies he put forward,
centrist.
some of them are still a little bit right leaning.
Yeah, I'd absolutely say he was a centrist. I mean, pretty much he continued just about every policy that Bush had.
Mm-hmm.
He expanded it from two theaters of war to seven. He dropped more bombs than both Bushes, deported more people
Mm-hmm.
than both Bushes, expanded the surveillance state,
Yep.
uh, punished whistleblowers. I mean,
The whole Snowden
sounds
thing.
kind of
Yeah.
right wing to me. I mean, even the ACA is a program written by the Heritage Foundation. So the
Right.
basic insurance that was supposed to be this bastion of liberalism actually came from a right wing think tank.
Of course it
So
did.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's
so yeah,
it's interesting, like because it's odd to me because I think Americans sort of look at Obama with like this blue colored glasses.
oh yeah, it's
And
gross.
so, and it's like, yeah, he was charismatic. Yeah, he seemed to
Absolutely.
he was able to communicate with the people a lot better than like Joe Biden, for example, who wasn't able to
Oh yeah,
communicate with people at all. And the Democrats are notoriously bad for not being able to communicate with their base or with the American public. So it seems to me that he looks far more left than he is, like
oh
even
yeah.
in just ignoring his policies.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, the ACA was a half measure, and it actually gave more power to a lot of insurance companies
Hmm.
than it did anything
Hmm.
else. It squeezed out a lot of people. So,
I
but
think
hell,
that
we might even
there's
lose that the way it's going now. So,
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for like half measures. Like sometimes you have to take that half step before you can go the next way. I was having this conversation. I was talking about this over on my regular channel because I've been following the Canadian massive swing to the left, which has been crazy to watch. And one of the things that I noticed was there's talk of like opening up trade between the provinces, and there's talk of opening up potentially doing another pipeline, which people are
mm,
about. And I'm like, this is one of those, like, if we want to open up a rail system or like a fast way of moving resources from point A to point B, and we want to be like environmentally conscious because that's something that the left is like our liberal party is
sure,
pushing for. Sometimes you have to grow, you can't cut this tree down before you plant and grow this tree. So it makes sense to me that as long as there's a plan and this isn't the end goal and we're not just building pipelines willy-nilly like oil is just okay and that it's going to last forever, as long as we're not pretending that's the case and we're making moves that are like 10, 20, 30, 50-year plays that we're thinking ahead, then I'm okay with a pipeline. But if you're doing it willy-nilly, I'm like, what are you doing? You're just making more problems. I don't understand.
we're opening up everything here, so it'll
Oh
be
my
fine.
god, the conservation areas, the national parks. I don't understand. I
Hmm.
hate it.
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be urban development. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a new center for shopping malls and Tesla dealerships. So
What do you think of the $5 million Trump gold card?
oh Jesus! I thought that was a joke. I didn't. I had to double check to make sure that was real. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? I
So I
mean,
think.
that's. I mean, the only hope we have really is that he is as bad as he appears, health wise.
Oh
There's, you know what I mean.
yeah,
If you notice, he doesn't stand hardly ever, and when he
yeah.
does have to have those little thingies, right? And a lot of people are saying that he has super onset dementia from having COVID twice because I guess it accelerates the shit out of that.
Oh, that's not good.
So yeah, so maybe we don't have to worry about 4 years of this or whatever.
I mean, I had
I
somebody
don't know.
ask me if Trump was gone, then we just get JD Vance, and JD Vance would just keep doing what Trump is doing. I disagree with that. I do
Yeah,
not think JD Vance has the wherewithal,
yeah,
nor do I think he has like. I think that JD Vance is aware of what other people think of him, and I think he cares about that. So like he would fold to the protests right now, like instantaneously. He would fold
I don't.
immediately.
I don't know. So I mean, I'm not a fan of him at all. I mean, he's a tool of Peter Thiel.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
so he kind of I think he has maybe I'm not saying a thicker skin, but I think he knows he's a tool
Mm.
to a point. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I think he's
Mhm. Mhm.
self-aware of that. But then you also have Mike Johnson, the
Yeah.
Speaker of House, who openly said, I think I don't know if it was last week or recently, that maybe we just need to do away with federal courts. We don't need judges. We have all the power. So they're all being very openly fascist at this point. It's just not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think they would
So
buckle as soon as like the dear leader is gone because they lose the support, and none of them are ever going to be able to do something that like the MAGA, the deep state MAGA crowd are
right.
going to be happy with. They're going to get blamed and told that they're wrong about everything because those people aren't happy about anything. Doesn't matter what you do. They're only happy if Trump's the one doing it, right?
I
So
guess I guess it depends upon when this would happen. You know what I mean? Like if it
fair, yeah,
happens
fair enough.
today,
Yeah.
I still think that Vance is going to be able to push through enough stuff. I mean, we're already fucked, to be honest.
I
Okay,
think
we're
he would
four
stay
months in.
president,
We are so
right?
bad.
But I
Yeah.
think that he
Oh
would
yeah, yeah.
not continue with
Unless
Trump's
it's a out steal, he would not
plans.
get reelected. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't think so.
So
But
I agree on that.
we should kind of wrap up a little bit because we got our Q&A session.
Hmm,
But I think what the conclusion we've come to is that in America centrism doesn't exist.
pretty much.
Because any centrist would be shut down because they'd be viewed as an extreme lefty, which makes no fucking sense. If you look outside
I
of
mean, Kamala
America,
was a communist, right? I mean, that's what they kept on saying. Like, what the hell?
what the
Trying to
hell?
make her sound cool, man.
I think radical centrism is interesting because it's got a degree of pragmatism in it,
Mm,
which I enjoy. That's a little just for me. But I don't know. It seems like America just doesn't. Centrism is like a rhetorical tool on Twitter to not have to take responsibility or to just excuse things and to not do anything. That's what it seems like to me.
right.
Yes, no.
Hey, it's fair. Hey, it's fair. Although I'm definitely have less love for anything centrist. So I'm
That's fair.
the hippie leftist on the panel, I guess. So
The hippie
but
left in hell, yeah.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
go.
But I mean, in all honesty, if I'm pushing for anything, well, a couple weeks before this, I would have said probably whenever we initially said we were going to do this, I probably would have been pushing, hey, let's have a Labor Party UFA with Sean Fain is the guy behind it until he turned around and sucked Trump's dick over the tariffs. So I'm like, not doing that. So pretty
Mhm.
much, if I'm pushing for any party, if there is a party even to push, I would say the Green Party. Although I would push that or hope that they would move towards Butch Ware as
Mhm.
opposed to Jill Stein. I'd rather have Butch. That's just my opinion. But
Yeah, fair enough. Well, tell people where they can find you. We're gonna wrap up and we're gonna move into our Q&A session, so don't go anywhere. We'll have time, a quick moment to refill our drinks, and like and
well,
share and subscribe. And once we get monetization, once we hit that 500, help us hit that 500 mark. A lot of the Q&A sessions will get re-released. So help us with that, like, share, and all that stuff. Seamus, where do people find you?
so obviously you find the Jib podcast. It's JIB, or just look right behind me. You can see the little poster there. So actually, we have a show dropping today at 6 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be about Grenada. So if you like nutmeg, you might like it. So, a lot of dick waving in that by America. Typical stuff. As
Yeah,
far as following me,
America
yeah.
never does that.
Best place to follow me probably anymore is Blue Sky. I try to spend more time over there than I do Hellscape, that is Twitter.
Hmm.
So it's just at Seamus Geegan Blue Sky. So
Links are down below. If they're not down below, I will make sure they're down below. And we will be back in about 1 to 2 minutes. See you on the other side.